ahead now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFX-TV. I'm the WrestleGamer. Don't be Billy Boudreaux. I got a pin on people I need to introduce you to. First off, he is the host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, which can be heard exclusively on YouTube.com/HWR Show. He is the illuminous one, the shining star, Rick Starr. Rick, how are you shining?
I'm doing all right, Billy. Thanks for having me.
He's our resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/Lance Moss TV. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's one half of the new MSX Tag Team Champions and one half of the winners of the WGS-TV Tag Team Tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, Christian Blake. Christian Blake, how you doing?
Hi, Mom.
And ladies and gentlemen, he's currently playing the NES right now, but he's here to talk about the topic at hand. He is the Insane Machine, Cody Hawkins. Cody, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, Bill. Freezing.
Yeah, it's definitely cold.
SNES.
SNES.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, and he's got the controller. I hate you right now. Well, the topic at hand is the story.
Amazon.com.
The topic at hand right now, guys, is the story that started breaking out on TMZ Sports. Then it was all over on all the wrestling news sites. CM Punk, obviously frustrated about the current direction that WWE is going, has decided to walk out of the company. Now, what the reports are saying is that he walked out of a meeting with Vince McMahon just prior to Monday Night Raw, and he was scheduled to work a matchup with Antonio Cesaro, where Cesaro was going to go over on him, and thus having Cesaro qualify for the Elimination Chamber. And Punk was nowhere to be seen for that SmackDown taping as well. And, you know, rumors are just, you know, out and about, you know, the current situation involving CM Punk. And, you know, what we're going to be doing here on this video, we're going to be discussing, you know, the legitimacy of this story, and, you know, if it is truly legit, as people tend to believe that it is, because even Matt Hardy has even taken to Twitter saying that he kind of supports CM Punk in what he said, allegedly walking out of the WWE. Rick, I got to ask you, what are your initial reactions to these stories all over the internet about CM Punk walking out on the WWE?
Well, before we get to CM Punk, I don't know if anybody can believe Matt Hardy, considering Matt Hardy just got to bring up his wife. Moving on to that, CM Punk, I think I can really agree, because let's face it, you know, you got guys like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk who are busting their ass all year to, you know, get into that big spot, and then all of a sudden, here comes along Batista, who's been gone for 3 years, and here he wins the Royal Rumble, and I'm sorry, I was just absolutely disgusted by that. And, we're not the only ones. Mick Foley even posted several tweets saying he was disgusted. So this goes higher up. This is not just fans. These aren't just marks saying we're pissed off. There's a lot of legitimacy about people being very angry about this.
Definitely. Lance, if this truly is a legit story about CM Punk leaving the WWE, how big of a blow would this be to Vince McMahon and the company?
Well, since they don't have that many made guys, and they don't know how to make a guy anymore, the Royal Rumble proves that. It's a huge blow. And with regards to the whole Matt Hardy thing, we will be discussing that on the show tonight.
Definitely. That's Hardcore Wrestling Radio, guys. Be sure you give that a like as well. Christian Blake, I know you've taken to your Facebook page and you've posted up some of your thoughts. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I mean, I basically thought if it was true, my thing is the WWE.com didn't really post anything yet, so it's like, well, you can't really go by what the dirt sheets say, or all the media, just like the whole Mae Young thing, you know, whenever somebody posted that she had passed and then she really didn't pass, and like stuff like that, you know, you can't really follow what you read unless you get it from the main source, which I think if this really did happen, WWE.com should have had it posted by now, because they did the exact same thing with Austin. You know, when Austin left, they had it posted. It wasn't in the dark for the next 24 hours, 48 hours. It was posted. So, I don't know. What
Cody
you think about it.
Cody Hawkins, if you were in CM Punk's position, would you react the same way? I mean, would you walk out of the company if you were frustrated on where the storylines were going?
Well, wouldn't necessarily leave, but
All right, we may have a technical. Yeah, we may have lost Cody Hawkins. We do apologize.
Freeze frame.
We might have had a technical problem with Cody Hawkins. We'll try to get him back. I'm pretty sure if we could get Lance on it, that would be a big favorite. Now, I did post this to the WGS-TV Facebook page, you know, asking fans what are their thoughts about the whole CM Punk situation. I want to read a couple of the comments that were left by the fans of WGS-TV. Brian Ragsdale put, okay, CM Punk did this before, if you remember, and there are storylines in the WWE, and CM Punk still has to get back at Kane for making him lose his last match, which would probably be the Royal Rumble match, is what Brian is referring to. Daniel Reamer says he has met with Vince, though, and said he is done. That's what he has said. And he's also posted that, hold on, I've lost it on here. Daniel Reamer has also said, I believe it 100%. I have been going to, I'm not going to mention the dirt sheet, but for 5 years now, and they have never given me a reason not to believe them. They have always been right. Sorry about the delay. He goes on to talk about that, but, Tony Rodriguez, who's an admin on here, posted, I believe it totally because they passed over Bryan, passed over the Usos, Christian, Miz, Ziggler, etc. So, some different perspectives when it comes to the CM Punk story here. Now, Rick, what are the possibilities about this being a work more than it being legit?
Being a work, just for him to work, I mean, WWE, if they wanted to put it to the news like that, have a walk out, it doesn't make sense. Because they were on a really hot storyline with Kane at the Rumble. You figured they would have followed up, you know, on Monday night. And Punk never showed up. So, why not have him, it just doesn't make sense. The chance of it being work, I'm going to give it maybe a 20%. However, if WWE and Punk do sort things out, which they have in the past, Punk has gotten upset, he has gotten emotional, and he does get, very, very angry because, when people like The Rock come along and kind of take their spots and move up while other guys don't get moved up, the proper guys don't get moved up, he does get angry, he does get pissed, he does get emotional. He's an emotional guy. The WWE kind of talks him back because they don't want to lose a guy like CM Punk. CM Punk is a very valuable person in the WWE. That's almost like saying, if John Cena walked out. I hate to say it. So, they could turn it into a work. They could very well turn it into it, but right now I think it's legitimate. That's my thoughts.
Christian Blake, Rick does bring up a very interesting point. CM Punk was involved in the middle of a huge storyline of him against the Authority of sorts, especially with him and Kane, and it was a big part of the WWE Raw angle as of late. And did you find it kind of weird that the night after the Royal Rumble, after we saw CM Punk be eliminated illegally by corporate Kane, that WWE never followed up with the storyline?
I was thinking maybe they would have saved it for next Monday. Like, try to build certain segments, like, with the whole Daniel Bryan being told no about the Royal Rumble and how the crowd reacted and the negativity that the Rumble got. I think that's why the rewrites were doing it that way. Because I was reading it early in the day, and they said they had to hurry up and rewrite stuff, and it had nothing to do with the CM Punk deal. So, I mean, when I was watching it, I had thought about it. I was like, well, man, I was thinking Punk was going to come out for that, to save Daniel Bryan in the opening segment, but it was John Cena. So then the only thought I had was that they were going to save it for next Monday.
Lance,
like I said, I don't even think this might be a work, or it's legitimate. But, I mean, I'm just going by, like I said, WWE.com didn't put anything yet. So, it may be a couple of days that he was taking off to go and do whatever. Maybe not. Or maybe we'll see him next Monday. Who knows?
Now, Lance, what some reports are saying is CM Punk was slated to work a match at WrestleMania 30 against Triple H, of all people, and from what they have also reported now, because of this, they've pulled a lot of CM Punk's names, from future events, including doing a major rewrite for this supposed match. Does this, knowing what these people are reporting, do you feel that this is attributed to the story being a legit story?
Yeah, I mean, even once you go back to what Blake just said, did anybody else think it was a little strange that, given that John Cena is supposedly in a storyline with the Wyatt family now, he came down to help out against the Shield? Seems a little off, like they had to just rewrite some stuff right on the fly.
Yeah.
I think it's legit.
Yeah, and it's weird. And, Rick, in your opinion, with CM Punk gone from the WWE, how big of a blow is this to the company?
Well, that's the thing everybody's always saying, oh my God, it's a big blow, it's got a big blow. And you know what? It's a setback, it's not a big blow. One thing the WWE always knows how to do is, when they're in that kind of a fix, that's when they're going to pull somebody out of the roster and say, okay, time for you to take the ball and run with it. And the problem is that they shouldn't have to do it when somebody leaves. They should just be doing this in general. And they don't want to do it because they want to advertise guys like CM Punk. They want to advertise guys like John Cena. They want to push guys like, believe it or not, Daniel Bryan, who's getting the underpush. As Joseph Knight's been saying on the show, he's been getting that big underpush. We're all getting aggravated because he's not getting the world title, and Joseph Knight seems to think something totally different. I know we're getting a little bit off subject here, but I think what they might do is say, okay, time to push somebody else. That's the way they see it. That's why they have this big, huge roster.
All right, well, let's go in. Yeah, it definitely does suck. Christian, let me ask you this question. If this turns out to be a work by the WWE, how do you see them, working this kind of a story, into the angle already involving CM Punk and the Authority?
I guess just how it was with 2011. I mean, he leaves and he comes back and wants changes. If it was a work, I mean, that's the only way I see it.
All right.
I really don't.
All right, Lance, what about you? I mean, Christian Lake brings up an interesting scenario, referencing the 2011 situation when WWE, when CM Punk won. I got people messaging me left and right. When CM Punk won the WWE title at that Money in the Bank pay-per-view and then walked out of the company and was gone for like a couple of months, and then he came back. Do you see this as somewhat of a similar situation? Could this be a similar scenario that CM Punk is doing with the WWE in reference to what he did in 2011?
I would, except for the time of year it is.
Yeah.
Why would he do it right in the prime of WrestleMania season?
Yeah.
leading up to the biggest pay-per-view of the year. To me, that don't make sense.
Talking. It's getting people talking.
Yeah, exactly. Which is
True.
why we're doing this video here right now to talk about it and discuss the situation at hand involving CM Punk. Speaking of that, let's go to final thoughts on this whole situation of CM Punk allegedly walking out on the WWE. Rick, I want to go to you first. What are your final thoughts on this?
If it's a work, I don't think it all depends on how they play it up. Because let's face it, when he left, he didn't really say I'm leaving or I'm walking out. It's just news, so they can just, how else do you play it? It's not like he's grabbed the mic and did a pipe bomb saying, you know what, I'm sick of this place, I'm done. I'm sick of Batista winning, I'm walking out. That would have been the better, really, a more way to get the attention of everybody if it was a work. The fact that I think is legitimate, the fact is that he just walked out and didn't say nothing. Sometimes that's a little bit more, actions speak louder than words. So,
yeah, it is. Definitely, that old saying, that old crescendo, actions do speak louder than words. Speaking of that, Christian Blake, over to you. Your final thoughts on the CM Punk situation.
Well, if it's legitimate, he's completely justified, can't blame him for doing what he did. He's been known for being pissy, when it comes to stuff like that. And I know from reading, he's got his money straightened up, saved. If he don't feel like he needs it anymore, being that his main goal was to main event of WrestleMania, and it didn't look like he was going to get it, so packed his ball and left. You can't blame a guy for that. But we'll power to him, I was a fan, so I kind of hope it works.
It sounds really familiar,
good send-off.
But it also sounds like something that's, if you guys remember, or if you guys recall, something along the lines of what Stone Cold Steve Austin did years ago when he took his ball and left the WWE for several years. That he was fed up with the situation over there as well. That's the kind of feeling that I get with it. Lance, over to you. What are your final thoughts?
Well, I personally think it's legit. I think AJ better watch her back because when people do stuff like this to them, they tend to take it out on the people closest to them that are still left in the company.
Yeah.
So I think it's legit.
All right, guys, here are my final thoughts. It is indeed a very hairy situation involving CM Punk in the WWE. Just the fact that, when I woke this morning, I come on Facebook to do some work on the WGS-TV page, and I see all these stories breaking about, CM Punk allegedly walking out on the WWE. It is indeed a huge deal, and one of the things that we were trying to do here is, to try to question the legitimacy of these stories. TMZ Sports reporting it, eWrestling News reporting it, and other various sites all over the internet are reporting the exact same thing about CM Punk walking out on the WWE. On one hand, the legitimacy of it, yes, you can't kind of sympathize with CM Punk, being very frustrated. He wanted to be the main guy in the WWE. He wanted to be, in the main spot at WrestleMania, and the way the angles were being worked right now, it just wasn't going to happen, especially with the whole deal with him and Cesaro. They were going to put Cesaro in the Elimination Chamber instead of CM Punk, so I can understand CM Punk being, very, very frustrated. And the fact that WWE never really followed up with the huge story that they're involving with him and the Authority on Monday Night Raw, it's also kind of keyed into the fact that, possibly that CM Punk will not be with the company anymore. And indeed, it will be a huge loss. CM Punk has a huge fan base in the WWE. He sold quite a lot of merch. He was getting on the Cena era where, they were just releasing so much merch from CM Punk. It was just selling like hotcakes. So, WWE revenue-wise would be losing out on that as well. Now, would CM Punk go to TNA? TNA could not afford him. especially with the current financial struggles that TNA is going through right now, and the supposed revealing of the new investor coming up on the next installment of Impact Wrestling. I really don't see that happening anytime soon. Would CM Punk go back to Ring of Honor? I think probably for nostalgia purposes, yes, Rick?
I don't think he want to go back to TNA. He's mentioned several times he's hated TNA, so I don't think even if TNA could afford him, I don't think he would go back there.
What about Ring of Honor?
Just a special note. Ring of Honor, I think he possibly would. I think if he's going to do probably what AJ Styles is doing if he left, I think he'd just do the Indies, work the Indies, and make a lot of money. And, maybe even do an ROH tour. He'd probably make some shitload of cash and probably get a good fan base over there.
And Ring of Honor does have the potential to be, if they could step up their production values and get into bigger venues, they too have the possibility of, giving WWE a run for its money, because they have some amazing talent over there. But again, that's really off subject. So what we want to know now from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, what are your thoughts and your reactions to the stories of CM Punk walking out on the WWE? Do you guys believe it's legit, or do you believe it's work? And if you believe it's legit, what are your reactions to CM Punk not being in the WWE anymore? We want to definitely hear from you guys out there on this topic. Be sure you put your comments in your comment section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. I'd like to throw out one thing. I'd like to throw out a happy birthday to a good friend of ours. You know him as the son of a bitch Andy on Hardcore Wrestling Radio. It's his birthday, and I'd like to throw out a happy birthday to him on that. I'd also like to throw out my apologies to Cody Hawkins for the technical errors. We planned on having him. We wanted to get his input on it, but Uvu being Uvu for that fact. But anyway, on that note, Rick, where can fans check you out on HWR?
Of course, they can always check me out on my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And anytime you want to listen to any of our shows, head on over to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/HWR Show. Can't get the tongue out of my mouth tonight.
Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit? Yeah, Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on youtube.com/LanceMossTV?
Redneck cooking videos, album reviews, a little bit of wrestling stuff, NASCAR reviews, and whatever else pops into my head. And you can also catch me on HWR.
Fans, along with Flip the Wolfman Jackson, he's one half of the winners of the WGS-TV Tag Team Tournament and one half of the MSX Tag Team Champions, Christian Blake. Christian Blake, you got anything coming up?
I believe we got some shows coming up soon in the end of February locally for GCW. Oh, my bad. Hold on. Can't say GCW no more. Mid-South Extreme. And I got a few other places I'm going to. OWE, Old School Wrestling Entertainment, in West Wego with my other tag team partner, Trevor Jones, as Team Strong Style. So, yeah, that's pretty much my February duties. So, local areas, come check us out. Appreciate it.
All right, fans, don't forget to like the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WGS-TV. And don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network. So for the Insane Machine, Cody Hawkins, the Illuminous One, the Shining Star, Rick Star, the Incomparable, Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV, and Christian Blake, I'm the Wrestle Gamer. Double B Billy Mujo saying thank you very much for watching. And by the way, just to let everyone know, Chair Shots Across America has been canceled.
And then rescheduled.
Head on over to Mid-South Extreme where Billy will be handing out shitloads of them.